Look, today we're tackling a massive, high-stakes dilemma that practically every founder, product manager, and developer is facing right now. We're talking about the single architectural decision that keeps CTOs awake at night. The app developers' crossroads. WebView versus native in 2026.
Picture this for a second. You're sitting at your desk, staring at two radically distinct paths for your mobile app. On one hand, you've got instant gratification. Do you choose to ship a highly functional app in just a week, get it straight in front of real users, and start gathering data immediately? Or do you take the stressful, grueling path? You know, spending 6 months locked in a room, burning capital to build a flawless, buttery smooth experience before a single user even sees it.
These are the absolute extreme realities of this exact choice. You're basically looking at a $500 WebView app that you can push live in a matter of days, going up against a colossal $200,000 plus dual native app that's going to take at least 6 months of intense engineering to build. These aren't just subtle tech choices, folks. These are entirely different universes of time and money.
So here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the app building crossroads. Number 2, WebView, native, and hybrid. 3 is the ultimate feature comparison. Number 4, real-world app examples. 5, security and app approvals. And finally, number 6, making your final decision. Let's get into it.
Section 1, the app building crossroads, covering time, money, and morale. Listen, picking the wrong tech stack early on isn't just a simple technical error that you can patch later. It is an incredibly expensive mistake. Imagine a hypothetical startup that spends a whole year and all its seed funding over-engineering a perfect native app, only to launch and realize users don't actually want the core product. Choosing incorrectly can completely drain your budget, absolutely tank your development team's morale, and in the worst-case scenarios, sink an entire product before it ever finds product-market fit.
Moving on to Section 2, WebView, native, and hybrid. Clearing up the buzzwords. We are going to cut right through the dense technical jargon here and clearly define the 3 main contenders you actually have to choose from.
First up, we have the WebView app. Honestly, the absolute best way to think about this is like a picture frame around a live canvas. The app shell that the user downloads from the App Store is just the frame, but what they're actually looking at inside is your live website rendered in an embedded browser. The crucial takeaway here is that your app's performance relies heavily on the user's network speed. If their network drops, your app's performance drops right along with it, because it's actively pulling that canvas straight from the web.
Next is the native app. This is an app compiled directly to machine code using languages like Swift for iOS or Kotlin for Android. It talks straight to the device hardware with absolutely zero middlemen. Now, this is universally recognized as the gold standard for performance. Because it uses the operating system's official SDKs, these apps run flawlessly at a blistering 120 frames per second. And why does that actually matter? It means the user gets that buttery smooth, ultra-premium feel where the app responds instantly to their touch without even a millisecond of lag.
Finally, we've got the hybrid app, built on frameworks like React Native or Flutter. And look, I want to strongly debunk a common myth right now. React Native is not a WebView. Not at all. These are powerful frameworks that either render actual native UI components or compile all the way down to native code. It's a highly capable middle ground, definitely not just a disguised web browser. And honestly, this is exactly why so many startups default to hybrid today. It really feels like a magic bridge between the extreme cheapness of the web and the extreme performance of native.
Section 3, the ultimate feature comparison. The brutal head-to-head. It's time to pit these approaches directly against each other, starting with the most shocking difference that every app builder feels instantly.
The financial reality of development costs is just stark. A lean, no-code WebView approach sits at roughly $500. But then a hybrid build jumps all the way to around $80,000. And a massive dual native build, that easily tops $200,000. You're literally contrasting a fast, budget-friendly launch with a massive enterprise-level engineering undertaking. So the crucial point here is understanding what you actually get for that money. A WebView is incredibly cheap, sure, but it lacks a true native feel and totally misses out on deep hardware APIs. If you want your app to track a run in the background while the phone is locked, a WebView simply won't cut it. Hybrid is pricier, but it gives you a high native feel and pretty good hardware access. And native? Well, it's perfectly smooth and gives you full access to everything, like complex offline databases and ARKit, but man, you are paying top dollar for that privilege.
Section 4. Real-world app examples. How the giants handle it. Let's ground all this theory in reality by looking at how the absolute giants of the tech industry handle their architectural choices.
You don't actually have to be an architectural purist. In fact, most of the time we're using web views inside native apps every single day without even realizing it. Take Instagram. Their core app is native, but they strategically use a web view when you click an in-app link so you stay trapped inside their ecosystem. Uber heavily uses web views for their ever-changing help centers so they can update articles on the fly without needing a painful App Store resubmission. Meanwhile, Airbnb famously tried a hybrid approach, but eventually returned to a fully native build because their complex performance needs just hit a hard ceiling. See, the giants use a really smart mix.
So if you're just starting out, how do you scale smartly? Well, this brings us to a highly actionable method called the strangler fig migration. Fun fact, this is actually named after a real-world tree that slowly grows around and eventually fully replaces a host tree. Here's how you do it. Step 1, ship a fast WebView minimum viable product. Step 2, get real user feedback on your core idea. Step 3, wait until you actually hit a performance ceiling. And then, Step 4, you incrementally replace specific screens with native code over time. It's absolutely the smartest, safest way to validate a business idea cheaply before committing to crazy expensive native code.
Section 5. Security and app approvals. The app-killing traps. These are the critical hurdles that can literally kill your app before it even launches to the public. Getting rejected by reviewers and getting hacked.
Let's read this quote directly from the Apple App Store rules. Guideline 4.2 Minimum Functionality. Apps must offer more than just a website wrapped in a shell. You really must pay attention to this. Apple's reviewers are basically strict bouncers at an exclusive club. If you just show up with a website wearing a trench coat, you aren't getting in. No way. To get approved, you absolutely must add at least one native feature that justifies the app's existence, like push notifications or biometric login.
Then there's the security aspect. Web views carry inherent risks, like JavaScript injection and insecure local storage. Native apps, however, boast immense strengths, like OS-level sandboxing and utilizing hardware like Apple's Secure Enclave. To put that simply, the Secure Enclave is a physical, unhackable vault right on the device itself. The fix for web views? You must enforce HTTPS and use a native keychain for authentication tokens. But keep in mind, if you're in a heavily regulated industry like health tech or fintech, they legally mandate those physical native security features right out of the gate.
Section 6. Making your final decision. Choosing your exact path. Now that we've covered the costs, the capabilities, and the risks, let's introduce a definitive decision framework to help you choose your exact path today.
Let's walk step by step to this super pragmatic 3-question test to evaluate your product. Question 1. Do you need ARKit, background GPS, or constant 60 frames per second graphics? If yes, native is your answer. Question 2. Do you already have a great mobile responsive site and just need to launch fast? Then WebView is your starting point. Question 3. Do you need a high-quality user experience on both iOS and Android, but have a strict budget? Well, then hybrid is exactly what you're looking for. Now, if you answered yes to question 2 and you want a fast, lean MVP without all the headaches, this is the ultimate hack for any founder wanting to move quickly. Here is exactly what you need to do. Visit appofweb.com and convert your website to a mobile app today. Seriously, it is the absolute most efficient way to get your product into your users' hands in days, not months.
So, we finally arrive at the ultimate, most important question. Don't spend $200,000 answering a question that a $500 app could have answered for you. What does your app actually need to be right now? Does it need to be a buttery smooth, hardware-intensive native experience right out of the gate? Or does it simply need to exist in the App Store to deliver your great web content immediately? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Think deeply about your own real-world product requirements, and I'll catch you on the next one.